Hello everyone, welcome to this lecture 3 of week 5 for our course Metrics and Analytics of Marketing. In the last class we discussed about customer profitability. When we talk about customer profitability, basically it discusses whether the business had been able to make some money out of its transactions in the past. Basically customer profitability deals with 3 broad parameters. One is what is the revenue generated, what is the cost of goods sold, and what is the customer related associated cost. So, if revenue minus COGS minus customer related cost is positive, then in that case we consider that the company has made some profit out of its transactions in the past. This is a good metric definitely, but it does not tell us the whole story of business. Probably over this course, over any other marketing course, we have been able to know that whatever investment we make in terms of marketing initiatives or advertisement spend, the return is not immediate. We spend something creating awareness about a brand, about a product today, and then the results of these initiatives will be visible, let us say in the next year. We have already discussed that there is an attribution problem, how to attribute it, but we use our best possible model in order to attribute each of these expenditures to the outcomes. So, having said that, as this is a phase wise, as the results happens in a phase wise manner, let us say I advertise, I spend 1 lakh rupees in advertisement today, and let us say there will be an additional revenue generated 6 months down the line. Today's advertisement effect will still be there, let us say till next year, till next to next year, but the effect will get reduced over a period of time, right. So, customers lifetime value actually deals with this overall picture. It basically tries to cover, let us say I acquire a customer today, then what will be his value in the future, how much he will contribute in terms of value to the business in the future. Remember that some of the customers will switch over a period of time, some of them will still retain. So, whenever we are calculating customer lifetime value, we calculate the value for an average customers. Let us say I have acquired 100 customers today. So, 100 customers, and let us say 100 customers will, each of these customers will contribute a value of 100 rupees. So, 100 into 100 I will get 10,000 rupees. And out of these 100 customers, let us say I have a retention rate of 60%. I will be able to retain only 60 customers, 40 will go to other businesses, they will switch to other brands. Now, for the next year my revenue will be, what will be total number of customers? It is 60. So, 60 into 100, that is 6,000 rupees. Let us say next to next year, out of these 60 customers, what will be the retained number of customers? 60% of 60 again 36. So, each customers, if they contribute 100 rupees, it is 3600. First year I have generated 10,000 rupees, second year I have generated 6,000 rupees, and in the third year I have generated 3600 rupees from 100 acquired customers. So, similarly this will get reduced and reduced over a period of time. But for these 100 customers, if I need to calculate the value for the business, I have to account the value for the entire period. So, this is what is covered under this concept called customer's lifetime value. So, let us dive into the concept of customer's lifetime value. So, let us dive into the concept of customer's lifetime value in detail. As far as the definition of customer lifetime value is concerned, it is all about the present value of future cash flows from a customer relationship. Customer relationship is the time frame when a customer interact with the brand. It starts with the awareness phase and goes up to the phase of customers becoming a loyalist of the brand or patronizing that brand. So, during this time frame at different point of time customers will keep purchasing my product. So, at each of this transaction customers will generate some financial value for my company, and that value needs to be calculated in order to take a decision whether it is worth investing in order to acquire a customer or not. So, why it matters? Why does the concept of customers lifetime value matters? Because there is a shift from short term profits to long term relationship health. Earlier, the marketers were more concerned about the first transactional value. They were short sighted. They were more concentrating on the initial value that can be derived from the customers. But now with time we have understood that customer acquisition cost is very high in a competitive market landscape. That is why we need to keep in account that it is always better to keep your existing set of customers rather than keep acquiring new customers. So, if your retention rate is high, then you can keep acquiring a very small portion of your customer base. So, in that case you will save a lot in terms of customer acquisition cost, and you will derive more value from the relationship of with the customer. That is why there is also a paradigm shift from, let us say, selling orientation to marketing orientation. Marketing orientation talks about customers value. Marketing orientation talks about, the long term value that can be generated from an average customers. Selling orientation tells out whether we should be, how aggressively we should be able to sell a product to our customers. It does not take into consideration the satisfaction level of the customers. Now, where can we use this concept of customers lifetime value? The first thing, it is an indicator of how much should we spend in order to acquire a new customer. So, whenever we are acquiring a new customer, the expenditure that is incurred in this acquisition process has to be lesser than the value that is generated from this customer over its lifetime. So, customers will keep paying you in terms of purchasing the product at different point of time. Another aspect that needs to be taken into consideration in the process is that we have to calculate the present value of money for future transactions. This is an important phenomenon because there is always an inflation in place. Let us say I am getting 100 rupees in the next year is not equal to if I am having 100 rupees today. Let us say if the inflation rate is 10 rupees, then I have to divide it, 100 divided by 110 multiplied by 100, this is my value, which is lesser than this one, actually 100 rupees, right. So, similarly, let us say I am getting 100 rupees 5 years down the line, probably in today's value it will be much lesser. So, there is a formula that is that value divided by 1 plus the discount rate, that is the inflation rate, to the power the time period. So, that we will discuss in detail as we move through this session. Now, let us try to differentiate the customer profit and customer lifetime value. Customer profit measures the past. It basically talks about what happened, what was the revenue generated, what was the cost of goods sold, what was the customer related cost incurred in the previous transactions. It is much easier to calculate because we can just summarize the history. In a way, we can say that it is descriptive in nature, right. So, there is nothing rocket science here, we just need to calculate what happened in the past. On the other hand, customer lifetime value, it looks forward, it is forward looking, and it talks about what the relationship is all about. Is it worth having this relationship? Is it a healthy relationship? Is it a profitable relationship? Am I earning from this investing in this customer relationship or not? Customer lifetime value, it requires forecasting. Forecasting in the sense, how do I calculate the future value is one, is that what is my retention rate. Let us say I am getting 100 customers today and I am deriving 100 rupees from each of these customers. So, in this year I am total deriving 10,000 rupees. In the next year, if my retention rate is 60%, I mean there is an if. I am assuming that retention rate is 60%, then I will be left with 60 customer into 100 rupees, 6,000 rupees. So, in a way, customer lifetime value is predictive in nature, because it involves forecasting of the future transactions. It involves forecasting of the loyalty of the customers. Now, there is a formula for customer lifetime value. So, how is it calculated? It is margin, means profit margin, that is revenue minus cost, multiplied by retention rate divided by 1 plus discount rate minus retention rate. So, I believe by this time we already understand what is called retention rate. Retention is nothing but what is the percentage of customer who are purchasing in the next year also. Let us say, as I have already explained, that if I have acquired 100 customers today and out of these 100 customers 60 customers buy again in the next year, then for this particular period of time my retention rate is 60%. Next, let us say next to next year, out of these 60 customers 60% remains with me. So, I will be left with 36 customers. So, this is what is called retention rate. Let us denote this retention rate with a value R, and on the denominator there is another parameter called the discount rate. So, discount rate is nothing but the inflation that I was citing as an example, at which rate the value of money is falling, that is called a discount rate, right. So, if the cost of living, if the inflation is at a rate of 10%, then let us say I am getting 100 rupees today, it will have a value of 100 rupees, but I am getting 100 rupees in the next year. So, what will be its value? 100 divided by 100 plus 10%, 100 divided by 110 multiplied by 100 is the value of next year's 100 rupees in today's scenario, right. So, it is as equivalent as if I get 100 rupees next year, I will be able to buy product equivalent to, let us say I am buying for 95 rupees today or 93 rupees today as per the calculation, right. So, this is what is the concept of discount rate, right. So, as these three parameters are clear to all of us, I will try to deduce how customer lifetime value is calculated in terms of this formula. We will deduce this formula so that we are internalizing how customer lifetime value is being calculated, fine. So, let us deduce this equation, fine. So, for a customer, remember that with customer's lifetime value, we are only calculating the value of the future transactions. Value of this current year transaction is kept out of this customer's lifetime value. It will be a part of the total value from the customers, but it will not be a part of the customer's lifetime value, as we are defining the customer lifetime value in terms of future value only. So, in year 0 or period 0, whatever we are deriving, we will denote it as the initial value. So, the total value that is contributed by a customer will be summation of initial value plus customer's lifetime value. I think I have made it very clear. So, now let us look at this one. Let us say the retention rate is denoted by R. R denotes my retention rate. Then let us say D denotes the discount rate. And let us say M is the margin, right. So, now in the current year, what will be the total value that is created, that is margin, retention rate in the for the first year it is all the customers. So, M into 1, right. So, for the it is the total margin will be total value in initial value is M, right, because there will be nothing discounted. So, in the initial year 0 or period 0, the value that is created is M. Now, in the next year, whether we will be able to generate the same value or not? The answer is no, because in the next year, let us say if I can generate a value of let us say M in year 0, then in the first year M, because all the customers will not remain with me, only R percentage of the customers will remain with me. So, whatever we have generated in the first year, that is the M, has to be multiplied by R. The value of R will remain in between 0 and 1. 0 means no retention, 1 means 100% retention, but practically it will remain in between these two extreme values. In our example that we have cited that it is 60%, then in that case it is M multiplied by 0.6, right. But if I am getting a value of M multiplied by R in the next year and our discount rate is D, then in that case what is the value of M plus R in today's rate? I am getting this M plus R in the next year. So, in today's scenario, if I have to convert it to the present value, the value will be M multiplied by R divided by 1 plus D, fine. I think I am clear. So, this is the value that is generated by the customer in, let us say, period 1. Similarly, for period 2, what will be the value? So, in period 1, we have this value, right. So, M into R divided by 1 plus D. Now, again because in the period 2 there will be lesser number of customer as compared to period 1, and that lesser number can be reflected with a multiplication by R. Sorry, this will also be capital R, fine. So, it is M into R divided by 1 plus the whole square, because the discounted value will also, I mean the value of money will be again further lessened, right. So, in a way what I can say, period 2 M R square divided by 1 plus D whole square. Similarly, for period T, it will be M R to the power T divided by 1 plus D whole to the power T. So, if you look at this equation, what is this equation? So, the overall value that can be created by a customer will be, now I am just rubbing it off. So, what will be the overall value? The summation of all these values in period 1, period 2 and period T, right. So, overall value will be the first value, that is M R divided by 1 plus D plus M R square divided by 1 plus D whole square plus M R cube divided by 1 plus D whole cube, plus if I put it in infinite space. So, this is the CLV of an average customer. So, this particular, if I look at this particular equation, this is nothing but a, what is it? This is nothing but a geometric mean, like geometric series. So, what is the summation of a geometric series? We just need to have our first term and a common ratio. So, in this case, what is the common ratio? CR, M is common, this one. So, that is R divided by 1 plus D. Now, what is the summation of this series? CLV equal to the first term, that is MR divided by 1 plus D, this is the first term, divided by 1 minus the common ratio, that is R divided by 1 plus D, right. So, what will be its value? MR divided by 1 plus D divided by 1 plus D minus R divided by 1 plus D. So, the denominator of both the numerator and denominator can be cancelled out. So, it is nothing but M R divided by 1 plus D minus R, which is the equation that we have placed in the previous slide. So, it is retention rate margin multiplied by retention rate divided by 1 plus discount rate minus retention rate, right. So, we have deduced this equation and accepted the fact that customer lifetime value can be calculated with margin multiplied by retention rate divided by 1 plus discount rate minus retention rate, fine. So, let us have a look at this problem. So, what is this problem? So, an internet service provider, it charges $19.95 per month. Variable cost associated with the service is $1.5 per account per month. With marketing spending of $6 over year, their attrition is only 0.5% per month. So, at a monthly discount rate of 1%, what is the CLV of the customer? Here in this example, the time period is given month wise, right. So, what is the contribution margin? First we need to calculate the margin, because we basically need 3 parameters in order to calculate the customer's lifetime value. One is the contribution margin, second one is the retention rate, and third one is the discount rate. So, contribution margin is not directly given, we have to calculate it from the price minus variable cost minus customer related cost. So, what is the variable cost? What is the price? Price is $19.95, variable cost is $1.5. So, 19.95 minus 1.5 minus the customer related cost, marketing related cost is $6 divided by 12, because we are calculating month wise. So, the overall contribution margin is $17.95. Retention rate per year, it is given as 1%, that is the attrition, per month attrition is 0.5%. So, how many, if this is the churn rate, then what is the retention rate? So, it will be 99.5%, right. 99.5, retention rate is 0.995. Now, the discount rate is given as 1%, that is 0.01. So, we have all these 3 variables, 3 parameters in place. Now, we can easily calculate the customer's lifetime value with this formula. Contribution margin, that is 17.95 multiplied by retention rate, that is your 0.995 divided by 1 plus 0.01 minus 0.995. So, this is what the value is. So, overall customer lifetime value from this situation is coming as 1191. So, this is how we calculate the customer's lifetime value. Now, we can also the customer's lifetime value can be mapped to this phenomenon of leaky bucket. So, the analogy is designed to highlight that the firm has two approaches it can take in order to maximize the amount of water in the bucket, that is the size of the customer base. So, either per transaction value has to be increased, that is the contribution margin has to be increased, or the retention rate has to be increased, then only the overall value, customer's lifetime value will be increased, right. So, basically by its concept, by its definition also, customer lifetime value is the present value of the future transactions that is coming from an average customer. So, in order to achieve a better customer's lifetime value, either we have to improve on the contribution margin per transaction, or we have to lengthen the customer's relationship time frame. That means, how can we lengthen this customer relationship time frame? By improving the retention rate. The more customers you are retaining, the lifespan of an average customer is increasing. So, this is how it is analogized with this leaky bucket. This is the two scenarios through which we can actually improve the customer's lifetime value. In fact, by combination of both these things, by increasing the margin as well as by lengthening the lifespan of the customer or improving the retention rate, we can improve it. So, margin per period, so this is nothing but after deducting the variable cost and the retention spent. Then retention probability per period, this is nothing but the retention rate. We are improving on the retention rate and we are improving the average lifespan of a customer with the brand, and let us say discount rate will remain the constant. Fine. Now, some of the intuition that is related to the customer's lifetime value. One is, what happens if the retention increases? Because retention as per the formula is concerned, retention is a part of the numerator, right? Numerator and denominator also, but in case of denominator it is preceded by a minus sign. So, definitely if the retention increases, then CLV will grow fast, the CLV value will be higher. On the other hand, the discount rate, the inflation rate, that is a part of the denominator which is preceded by a positive sign. So, that is why if the discount increases, then the CLV value will fall. Retention affects the expected lifetime, discount reflects time value of money, right. So, this is the normal intuition of CLV. Now, let us have a look at the CLV as an asset. CLV is an asset because it talks about the relationship with the customer. If the relationship with the customer is healthy, then in that case definitely your brand has a competitive advantage over your competitors. It is extremely difficult for the competitors to, pose a threat for your brand. Then upper limit to pay to acquire or avoid losing. So, this is a managerial implication of CLV, because everything is associated with a customer acquisition cost. Customer acquisition cost is dependent on how much you are spending for acquiring a new customer. So, that needs to be taken into consideration. If that particular value is lower than customer lifetime value, then we can fairly say that this investment is worth it. In an ideal scenario, customer lifetime value has to be 3 times of that customer acquisition cost, then only your business will sustain for a longer period of time. But as far as strict condition is concerned, CLV is the upper limit to acquire or prevent loss. Anything if your CLV is below your customer acquisition cost, you are actually consuming your resources and incurring losses in your business. So, what is the managerial decisions we can take? So, what we have to do? We have to budget the acquisition based on the CLV. Somehow with certain strategies you have to bring down the customer acquisition cost, so that it is always below the customer lifetime value. And the strict rule is, do not spend above the CLV. Then using CLV for retention. Spend to prevent churn only if the value saved is greater than the cost. What happens? In previous sessions also we have discussed that, let us say we can somehow sense that a customer is in the phase of transition. He has, let us say from the recency value I have come to know that the person used to purchase with an interval of 30 days, but last 60 days he or she has not bought anything. So, there is a risk, the customer is at risk of transition. Now, I can definitely make a call, I can definitely send a personalized message to the customer, probably extend an offer to that customer in order to retain them. But these initiatives, let us say spending a personalized message or extending an offer to the customer, has a cost. We have to invest in that cost, we have to invest in that initiative in order to retain that customer only if the additional value that is anticipated to achieve in the future from this customer is higher than the incurred cost. So, this is what is the concept of customer lifetime value. So, we also need to, we have already discussed that we also need to divide the customers based on the customer's lifetime value. As we know about this Pareto principle, as we know about this well curve, which emphasizes that only a small portion of your customers will contribute to the significant portion of your business value, right. So, based on CLV we need to prioritize high CLV customers and probably extend them with personalized messages, with loyalty incentives, etc., so that we can retain them for a longer period of time to make our brand in a healthy position. So, I will conclude this session by the statement that CLV turns customers into assets and guides what you can afford to invest. Basically, it also guides you what should be your customer acquisition cost. Thank you. I will see you in the next class.